Hello, welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is lesson number 32 from the Story Song and Action Book. In our last lesson, we took the sounds that we had just learned from J for Jenny Jaguar and her juggling, and we learned about Arnie Aardvark, and here was Arnie hanging from the high bar, and we put those together so that we could draw and label a jar, and we put some stars in our jar so that it would rhyme. And so here's our jar with the stars in it. So let's see if we can practice some of the words that we have been putting up on our charts now. We have a full chart of words here, and then we're starting our second chart over here. So we're getting lots of words up. So let's practice the sounds in jar. See if you can show me the sounds in jar before I do them. Okay, so jar was for juggling and then grabbing the high bar. So let's practice juggling together. Go j. Grabbing the high bar, go R, and when we put them together, we get jar. Again, jar. And the letters that we use to spell jar are what? J-A-R. And we learned the word star, and we put some stars in our jar. So see if you can show me all of the sounds in star. Surfing, S. Tickling, T. And grabbing the high bar. So let's put those together. Ready? Star. Again. Star. Star. And what are the letters in star? S-T-A-R. How many sounds did we have in star? S-T-R. 3 sounds. But how many letters did we have in star? 1, 2, 3, 4. How come we had 4 letters but only 3 sounds? Oh, because the A and the R go together and act like just one letter in spelling Arnie Aardvark sound. Then we drew a picture of a cowboy and we put him in a hat. So if this was Dr. Seuss, he'd probably be putting a cat in a hat. But if instead of the cat, we're putting the cowboy in the hat. See if you can show me the sounds in hat. Ready? Humming, adding, ah, and tickling. Again. Hat. Once more. Hat. And how do we spell hat? What are the letters in hat? H-A-T. Let's try a couple more from our first one. Let's do rat. See if you can show me all the 3 sounds in rat. Riding, r, adding, tickling. And if we put them together, we get rat. Again, rat. And how did we spell the word rat? R-A-T. See if you can show me the sounds in saw. Ready? Surfing. And Arnie Aardvark, or Ollie Ostrich at the doctor's. Ah. So let's put those together. Saw. And how did we spell saw? S-A-W. So in saw, how did we spell Ollie Ostrich's sound? With an A and a W. What's another way to spell that sound? With an O. Or another way to spell it is with an A-U. So sometimes sound only has one way to spell it, and sometimes there may be several ways to spell it, just like in the word saw. Today we're going to be learning a new character so that we can start to draw and label some more words. Our character that we're going to be learning about today is a kangaroo. So talk to your parent or your teacher and tell them everything you know about a kangaroo. Now here's a couple things I know about a kangaroo. A kangaroo is from Australia, and that's the only place that they are found, at least naturally. There's now in zoos around the world, but they all come from Australia. And they have very, very strong legs, so they can jump really high and far. And instead of running the way we do, they hop or jump where they're going, and they can hop or jump at 20 to 30 miles an hour, so faster than any people can run. And another very special thing about a kangaroo is they have a pouch here that their babies go in. So when the babies are first born, they don't leave their mom. They live in a pouch and go everywhere with her, like it's kind of like a pocket. And so if we read some stories about a kangaroo, this is one of my favorite stories about a kangaroo, and it's called Katie No Pockets. And in this story, poor Katie was born without a pocket. And so this kind workman came along and he said, well, I've got an apron that has lots of pockets where I carry my tools. And he tied the apron onto Katie, and now Katie doesn't have just one pocket like most kangaroos. She has lots of pockets. This one is a Skybrary book about a kangaroo that you might enjoy, and it's called Rooney Roo. And Rooney Roo, the kangaroo, loves to read, and he's constantly reading everywhere he goes. So those are two fun books about kangaroos. Another subject that we're going to be talking about is zoos, because our kangaroo that we're going to be learning about today lives in a zoo. And so here are two Skybrary books that you might enjoy about zoos. The first one is A Zany Zoo Day. And zany just means crazy. So if you want to learn about a really weird zoo, that's a good one to read. And here's another one called The Zoo and You. It's also a Skybrary one. Another topic that we're going to be talking about are animals that you might pet. And if you have a kitten, it's lots of fun to pet kittens because they have that very nice soft fur. And if you're in Australia, you might be able to pet a koala. Is another animal that in the wild you wouldn't pet them, but maybe if there was a baby koala in the zoo that liked to be held, you could pet that koala. There's also going to be a kudu that we'll talk about later that has very long antlers and is kind of like a deer that lives in Africa. Another topic that you can talk with your parent or teacher about is kite flying. And here are a couple of books about flying a kite. And this one is called Kite Day, and it's a Skybrary book. And this one is called King for a Day, and this one is also a Skybrary book. I have another book here about kites. And this one is fun to read because it tells you how to make a kite. And this book is called Kite Flying, and the author is Grace Lynn. And in it, it tells us all the things you can do to make a kite. It says here, Mama joins sticks together. So here's Mom putting the sticks together to make the kite. Baba glues the paper. So after they put the sticks together, they put paper on the sticks and glue it down. May May cuts whiskers. And so this kite's going to have whiskers like a cat. So that's a fun book about kites. Another topic in Kimmy Kangaroo's story is kisses. And this is a book that's just called Kisses. And here it talks about kisses on your nose, kisses on your toes. And it has lots of words that rhyme where kisses can go. I really like the books about Froggy. Froggy has all kinds of fun things that happen in his story. And this is a story about Froggy's very first kiss. And it's called Froggy's First Kiss. So see if you might be able to think what Froggy's first kiss was like. And this is another silly one, Kiss the Cow. And finally, here's a couple more books about kisses that are fun. This one is called Sloppy Kisses. And this is about someone who really likes kisses until their friend sees their dad kissing them, and then their friend says, oh, that's silly, you shouldn't be getting kisses. Well, so she stops getting kisses, but then she discovers she really misses them. And so by the end of the story, she wants her daddy to kiss her again. And then finally, this is one that goes really nice for learning math or learning arithmetic because it has to do with numbers, and it's called Counting Kisses. And lastly, we have one more or two more things in our story. In our story, we have this musical instrument, and it is called a kazoo. Can you say that after me? Kazoo. And a kazoo is very easy to play. All you have to do is hum a tune like this. Or only instead of humming there, you put it in your mouth and then you hum into it, and it makes a vibrating sound, and it sounds like this. And there are kazoos that are made out of plastic like this one, metal like this one, and even some kazoos are made out of wood. When I was little, I wanted a kazoo, but we didn't have any store-bought kazoos back then. So we made kazoos, and we had a special kind of paper that almost everybody had in their kitchen called wax paper. And if you remember back to our story about Felix Fox and Max the Ox and the boxcar of wax that they lived in, this paper has a coating of wax on both sides. And if you take and cut it into a square, fold it in half, and then put your comb with the teeth up like this, and you find the right spot, it will vibrate back and forth with the paper and kind of tickle your lips, and it'll sound like this. So that's the way we made kazoos. Now, if you don't have wax paper, you might have tissue paper like you would use for wrapping up gifts, and you could put your comb inside the wax paper and do the same thing and see if you can tickle your lips. And sometimes you have to play with it a bit to get it in just the right spot, and you'll know that when it starts to vibrate and your lips start to tickle and you get that special sound. So here's what this one sounds like. And lastly, this is a key to our mailbox, and we've connected it to a flashlight, so if it's dark we can find the keyhole and open up our mailbox, and there's going to be a key in our story. So here's a picture of Kimmy Kangaroo that we're going to be learning about. And Kimmy Kangaroo is the keeper at the petting corral for the Kennedy Zoo. And so children and adults alike come to the petting corral to pet all the animals that Kimmy Kangaroo takes care of. And here's a koala she's taking care of. And here's a kudu, and I was telling you that they have these long antlers, and they're from Africa. And here's a kitten that is being petted. And so Kimmy Kangaroo makes sure that everybody follows the rules and everybody is kind. And so in the petting corral, there's a sign that looks like this. And this sign means no kicking. So here's a foot kicking, and there's a line through it that says, nope, can't do that. So you need to be kind to everyone and not kick anyone. So the people who come to the petting corral are always kind to each other. And so sometimes Kimmy Kangaroo doesn't have anything to do. And so here's Kimmy Kangaroo, and here in this picture, she's feeling very bored because everybody's being kind, and she's glad about that, but she'd like something to do. So when she gets bored, she puts on a special show for all the kids and parents who come to the petting corral. And here she is showing off by flying a kite high up into the air while she's playing a tune on her kazoo, and she's kicking balls up high into the sky because kangaroos can kick really, really hard. Now, at the end of the day, after they've enjoyed Kimmy's show and they've petted all the animals, it's time for Kimmy Kangaroo to say goodbye to everyone. And she says goodbye to them by blowing everyone a kiss as they're leaving the petting corral. So to make Kimmy Kangaroo sound, we're going to put our hand up to our lips like this. We're not going to make the sound of kissing. We're going to make the sound you hear at the beginning of the word kissing and go like this. So everybody go. And after she has blown a kiss to everyone and they've all left, she takes out her special key and she locks all the animals into their cage. And then when she's finished, she locks herself into a cage because after all, she's a zoo animal too. So now when you get your paper, I want you to think about Kimmy Kangaroo and all the things that she likes to do and which of those things you also like to do. Now we're going, before we pass out the papers, let's learn Kimmy Kangaroo's song. First, let's put it into Are You Sleeping? So if we use a kitten in Are You Sleeping, it would sound like this. Are you blowing kisses? Are you blowing kisses? Kimmy Kangaroo, Kimmy Kangaroo. Kimmy's kitten saying, Kimmy's kitten saying, Kiao, 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 kiao. What kind of sound is that? Consonant. How did you know? Because we put an eow after it. So it couldn't stand alone. It needed a partner. Now, if we were to put our kitten with Kimmy Kangaroo into Little Puppy, it would sound like this. Little kitten, she says meow, meow, meow. What does Kimmy Kangaroo's kitten say? Kimmy's kitten, she says kiao, kiao, kiao. Let's do that once more. Little kitten, she says moo, meow, meow, meow. Once more. Little kitten, she says meow, meow, meow. Kimmy's kitten, she says kiao, kiao, kiao. Now, Kimmy Kangaroo's song goes like this. First of all, I want you to show me blowing a kiss. So put your hand up and sing these words after me as you're blowing the kiss. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Now show me kindness by putting your hand up over your heart. Kind Kimmy Kangaroo. Kind Kimmy Kangaroo. Now show me blowing kisses again. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Point to yourself and then make your horns for a kudu. To the kids and kudus too. To the kids and kudus too. Now we need to make that special letter K for Kimmy Kangaroo. So a K looks like this. So I want you to experiment with your arm, hand, your fingers, and see how you can make the shape of a letter K. Now I'm going to make my K this way, but you can make it any way you want. I'll make the stick for the K, and then I'll take and kind of bend my hand backwards for the other side of the K. So my K looks like this, but you can make your K any way that you like. K is for kind Kimmy's kisses. Sing that. K is for kind Kimmy's kisses. Now show me you never kick. Kimmy never kicks a kid. Kimmy never kicks a kid. Make your K again. Kimmy Kangaroo is kind to kids. Kimmy Kangaroo is kind to kids. Show me petting your kitten. Kittens and you too. Kittens and you too. Now let's do it again and then we'll look at the words. Ready? Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Kind Kimmy Kangaroo. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses to the kids and kudus too. K is for kind Kimmy's kisses. Kimmy never kicks a kid. Kimmy Kangaroo is kind to kids, kittens, and you too. Okay, so now let's take a look at the words to Kimmy Kangaroo's song and sing it along with our recording. Ready?
Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses. Kind Kimmy Kangaroo. Kimmy Kangaroo blows kisses to the kids and kudus too. K is for kind Kimmy's kisses. Kimmy never kicks a kid. Kimmy Kangaroo is kind to kids, kittens, and you too.
Okay, so now when you get your paper, you can rainbow write over Kimmy's letter. Now there are two other ways that Kimmy Kangaroo spells her sound. So just like we talked about in the word saw, saw has three ways to spell Ollie Ostrich's sound. Well, Kimmy Kangaroo can spell her sound three different ways. She can spell it with a K, like you see down here. She can also, mostly at the end of words, she can spell it with a C and a K. And she can also spell it with just a C. So either C, CK, or K can all spell Kimmy Kangaroo's sound. Now, when you go back to your seat and you get your paper, you can draw me a picture or write me a story about someone you like to blow kisses to, someone who gives you kisses, about animals that you like to pet, about flying a kite, about keys that you might use to lock up something special. And here are some samples I have today of what my class did after hearing Kimmy Kangaroo's story. This child didn't feel like they were quite ready to write all by themselves yet, so they drew their picture. And then when I got to them, I said, "Tell me about your picture." And this child said, "I am petting a giraffe at the petting zoo." So after I wrote the words up here, she traced over the top, copied them down here, and then at the end of the day, she read it back to me. And this child also didn't feel ready to write on their own yet. And these took place about 3 weeks into the school year. We were doing 2 lessons a day, beginning on the first day of school. And this is lesson 32, so it took us about 16 days to get up to Kimmy Kangaroo. And this child says, "I petted a camel and he liked it at the zoo." And so I wrote the words and he traced over the top. And this child drew a picture. And when I asked what the picture was about, he said, "I am petting an African spitting cobra." Now, I wouldn't want to pet a live cobra, but maybe if you had a toy cobra, you could pet it. Now, on this day, a couple of the kids decided they weren't going to wait for me. They were going to write all by themselves. And so here, this child wrote all of these letters. Now, that doesn't look like they do in a book. This is their personal writing, which is just great. But I can't read it. So I said, "Can you read that to me?" And she said, "That says, 'I pet my puppy in my house. It is raining in my house.'" Another child on that same day also wrote some letters. And so that I thought was wonderful. We held it up and said, "Look, she didn't wait for me to come. She wrote all by herself. Now, can you read it to me?" And she says, "That says, 'My mommy kisses me when she goes to work and when I go into the classroom.'" So I wrote the way it would look in a book. She wrote the way that it looks in her personal writing. And then she traced over the top and read it to me the end of the day. And then a week or so later, her letters were beginning to look like words that you might find in a book. And then still later in the year, the kids were writing so that I could read it and I didn't have to ask them what it said. Now, this is a frame that you might do for Kimmy Kangaroo, because kangaroos really like to jump and hop and they can go really fast. So you can put your name up here twice, and then you can put kangaroo, and I'll write it here, K-A-N-G-A-R-oo. So that says kangaroo. Now, what could you do to be like a kangaroo? You could put hop, or you could put jump here. What's the first sound in hop? H for humming. What's the next sound in hop? Ah for Ollie Ostrich. What's the last sound in hop? P for painting. And now let's sing it together. So let's say this is John's paper. It would do this. "John, John, what can you do? Skip to my loo, my darling. I can hop like a kangaroo. Skip to my loo, my darling." And so John could draw a picture of himself hopping up here. Or if you want to use jumping instead, you can do that. So thank you for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed the story of Kimmy Kangaroo. In our next lesson, we're going to take Kimmy Kangaroo's sound and her letter K, and we're going to use it to draw and label a word. So I hope to see you then.